I mean, this is why we've been doing this for years because, I mean, was there any more of an alley-oop segue into Nets? Like, come on, man.
It's tough. Uh,
They took care of business on this road trip without KD. I think I was asking you to apologize to me about the Knicks. What about I said Lakers Nets to be the finals, 14-1 at FanDuel at the start of the year. Didn't get Harden yet. Didn't really know KD was going to come back and be 29, 8, and 7 or whatever the hell he is.
yeah.
And now it's the favorite to be the finals, probably like plus 180-ish, plus 200. Not the same value. The only teams in the East with winning records on the road, the Nets, and do you know the other one? Kind of random, but they're playing well this year.
Pacers?
Yeah.
Pacers are always a solid team.
Yeah, just a very solid. Yo, they kind of remind me of the Jazz in the East,
Okay.
where both of these teams are going to be successful regular season teams. Wouldn't surprise me if they get bounced in the first round.
Yeah.
Like one of those things, you know? So I think with the Nets in particular, bro, you got 3 guys that can get you 30.
So
You're going to tell me the defense, right?
I'm not. Well, I'm going to talk about how their defense has improved.
It has improved.
It has
It's not
improved.
being talked about enough.
The Nets are probably, this is not a hot take, the Nets are probably going to go down as the best offense of all time. This Nets team.
Really?
This season. I wouldn't doubt it. Their offensive rating is like 120 and above with all three. Like, it's like Kyrie and Harden, it's like 122. With KD and Kyrie, it's like 120. It's like insane.
No matter what combination of the 3 is.
And they haven't played together that much either way. But just think about it this way. One, KD was playing the best out of all of them. And on this road trip where they beat a bunch of great teams, he didn't even play really. 2,
They're undefeated against all the Western Conference teams above 500.
Clippers, although poor George, the Clippers.
Yeah, and they beat the Lakers without AD, so take that with a grain of salt. But still,
You
it's
got to get these games under your belt.
right.
But the crazy thing was, I think...
And yo, my fault to cut
No,
you
that's
off.
fine.
No AD for the Lakers, no KD for the Nets too.
You want to talk about the defense. The defense at the beginning of the season was probably ranked towards the very, very bottom. This stretch of games, the 6-7 game stretch, they've been towards the middle of the pack. I think 16th over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So that's all you need. If you're going to have a historically great offense, just be mediocre on defense, and I think you can win a title. This AD Achilles thing is curious. I'm very fascinated by this Achilles. I'm worried. I think the Bucks aren't what people thought they were. Drew Holiday's been out for a while. You got to think about the supporting cast in Milwaukee. I can't see a team beating this. I can't see a team beating the Nets 4 times in the playoffs.
I think there's only one.
You think it's Philly?
Yeah. Again, you know who I gave out for MVP?
Embiid?
Embiid, bro.
Yeah.
14-1 also. I made no NBA bets this year, and I guarantee you I'm gonna hit on like 4 of them. I had Ben Simmons was my pick for Defensive Player of the Year, 25-1.
Lights out.
I would say he's the leading candidate right now.
Yeah. Embiid for MVP?
No, I would say
Simmons
for Defensive Player of the Year. There was a stretch a couple weeks ago where they played Portland and then they played the Lakers after, and like he locked up Dame, and then look, LeBron had like 33, so he didn't lock him up. But
It's LeBron.
But yeah, it's LeBron. But the biggest thing watching that game is he went toe to toe with him, and he like threw LeBron off a little bit. You're not gonna the Kawhi,
slow him down.
or throw him off his game, and that's the one thing with Ben Simmons that he was able to do. I love Doc Rivers going over there.
Embiid they're playing, I hate to use the term like they're taking it more serious, but Brett Brown, with all due respect to Brett Brown, it's not the same thing. When Brett Brown is in a room and when Doc Rivers is in a room, it's night and day.
There's a different level of respect and achievement, and also I think Brett Brown,
professionalism.
Right, Brett Brown also. They kind of let him stick around because he stuck around with the process. Like, hey, man, you're going to be a head coach in the league, but you're not going to win more than 40 games in the next 5 years. And then you finally get your process down. And here, to have a little bit of extra time with this process. And then eventually it was like he was going to be the fall guy no matter what.
And to be fair, they were a bounce, a Kawhi fade away from the corner, bounce away from potentially going to the finals, right? So
yeah.
you gotta play devil's advocate and be fair on both sides at times. But I do think it's a Doc Rivers thing, and I think adding Seth Curry, Danny Green, being able to space the floor, I think it's important. So really impressed with what Philly's doing, but it's gonna be really tough to beat the Nets, I think.
Yeah, I think ultimately the firepower might be too much for anyone in the East to play the Nets, but I do think that's the only team that if I had to pick right now, Eastern Conference Finals. Ready for this? Collision course. It's your boy
Stugatz.
Collision course.
Lakers Nets?
Yeah, man. It's a lot of firepower, bro. Like that Nets team, dude. I mean, we haven't even seen those 50-point games yet from these guys that they could go for, right?
They still need to get acclimated to each
Yeah,
other.
they're just on cruise control.
I tweeted something out when Kyrie was talking to the media again. It was he made headlines by saying, I told James, I said, James, you the point guard, I'm the shooting guard. I made a joke like, isn't that Steve Nash's job? Like isn't that his job to say who's the point guard, who's the shooting guard? Just making a joke, but you got to give Steve Nash some credit too. Guy who, coming into the season, a lot of people made the argument he wasn't qualified for the job, he didn't deserve the job, and I think he's got his imprint on this team a little bit more now. They're communicating better on defense, and it's showing. So, let's give some props to Steve Nash as well, because it's not easy to manage personalities and manage superstars. It's not, that's an underrated aspect, I think, of coaching, is being able to, manage personalities. Exactly that. And so he's doing a great job.
I want to talk a little All-Star with you.
Yes, sir.
But before we do, I want to ask you this. I asked my buddy Jarrell on, if you guys haven't checked that out. He's from Sports Illustrated. How do you feel about there being an All-Star game during the pandemic? I feel like it's, if I'm Mark Cuban and I'm the Mavericks, who, you're kind of underachieving this year from a record standpoint.
That's because Porzingis can't stay healthy.
Porzingis can't stay healthy. What a win. What a report for Knicks Nation that the Mavs are looking to trade him.
If you ain't think I framed that tweet and put it on my wall, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But my bad. Continue.
So they're the 9th seed right now. They're 15-15 at the time of recording. It's Wednesday evening, late afternoon. Bro, if I'm Mark Cuban, dude, I'm not sending Luka to the All-Star game.
Yeah. I mean, it's not his call, but
right. But I'm saying the idea of sending my best players to one city, which Atlanta also is
extremely wild and open right now.
right. So
and they're like, oh yeah, the players aren't going to go to parties; they're not allowed.
Yeah, come on now.
Whether they should be doing it or not, that's
Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah. So
and who the I don't want to get into it.
What? How do you feel about there being an All-Star game?
I don't love it, but if it was collectively bargained in terms of the CBA and the Players Union and the owners, you got to abide by it. And you have to kind of, fall in line and look, it's shitty, but do I think it's a bad move? Yeah. However, I think it's great for some players. Like first-time All-Stars, Jaylen Brown, Julius Randle, Zach LaVine, some of these guys that are playing out of their mind, those guys are excited. You know what I mean? And this is such a weird season. This is the year where you're going to get some of these unique all-stars. So don't love it, but at the same time, if it was collectively bargained, you can't kind of backtrack now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
again, we're in a pandemic. Things should be fluid. So that's the other side of it. It's a tough conversation. I like the fact that they're condensing everything, less travel. I think they're doing the dunk contest at the halftime show of the All-Star game. They're just getting everything all in one. I don't believe they're doing a rookie-sophomore game.
It's terrible for the pockets.
It's all right. It's over.
Didn't you say it's over season, bro?
Yeah.
It was like there's no locks or sure things in sports betting, but I think the over in both of those have like an 85% conversion rate. Dude, I was telling Dominic about this like 15 years ago.
We were at the club that night.
I'm like, bro, we were at the club one night, and I'm glued to the fucking TV waiting for this order.
Thumping nightclub. Everyone's on the dance floor.
Yo, OD. I'm looking at the fucking just grinding and shit, looking at the overs. I'm like, yo, you want to pay for this bottle? We need a 3 right here.
Like it was the Super Bowl.
Yo, it was. I mean, dude, it's the best players in the world. They're gonna shoot 150 threes. All I need is like half of them to go down. That's like 200 points right there.
Yeah.
There's no defense, and I mean, there was one shakeup a couple of years ago. Remember where it got like they scored like 400 points, and the next year they did the captains. And then that game went under. I bet the under in that one. That's the first time I bet the under. So I'm on like an 11-year streak of hitting this.
The one thing I'll say is that I'm not sure if Vegas is taking this into account is they've changed the format of the end of the game. You have to win by. Everyone gets to a certain. I don't know what the number is. You get to a certain point in the game, and then it's like next person that scores 7 points or whatever. There's a name for it. I can't think of it. It's a format.
It's like basic street ball.
Exactly.
Right?
Win by
like
2.
Straight 5, right? Like, oh, win by 2, and then it's 20-20. You're like, yo, straight 5.
Shit like that. So
right.
I don't know how that's gonna affect it. The name will come to me. I can't think of the name of it.
Let me rattle off the members of the All-Star game. And then I want to do the very basic, cliche, generic conversation of who got snubbed.
We could do it in a fun way, though.
Yeah. Okay, so the starters. Giannis, Beal, Durant, Embiid, Kyrie in the East. Is there a problem with any of those names as starters, Impy?
I mean, Kyrie missed some games, right? So you can make the argument maybe someone else could have been a starter. But other than that, no.
Yeah, I don't really have much of a gripe with that.
No gripe.
The captain is Durant.
Yep.
And then we have Luka, LeBron, your boy Jokic. That's your guy. You were Team Jokic since like 2015, bro, early on.
The Nuggets, I wish the Nuggets were a little
Had
bit
Bradley
higher.
Beal?
Well, yeah, but I don't know if he would fit. By the way, you couldn't have been more right about Jamal Murray. Talk about a guy who...
Bro, he's become a term for me. Like the Jamal Murray factor. Like... There's some you watch him in the bubble last year, you're like, yo, bro, what a contract.
And now
you watch him on certain nights, you're like, fuck, dude.
Yeah. So I wish the Nuggets were
what a take. Let's go. What a take.
I wish the Nuggets were a bit higher in the standings. But Jokic is an animal.
Yeah.
Stat sheet stuffer. So and Jeremy Grant's gone too, so he's kind of picking up more of the load and
then you got Kawhi and Steph Curry, who's having, I mean, I think the title of the episode with Jarrell was the Revenge Tour because he's fucking reminding people like, yeah, hold on, I'm still here. Like, I know we lost the Ray, I know Clay's out, but bro, his efficiency rating is higher than the year he went a unanimous
MVP.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that the stats. I'm not sure if they're still there at this point, but I know he did some damage to the next couple games ago. Yeah, no, playing out of his mind.
So any complaints with the Western Conference?
Nah, I mean Dame. It's tough. I'd probably make the argument Dame over Luka. You could make the case. I believe the Blazers are 5th or 4th in the West, and the Mavs are out of the playoffs. Granted, Luka's numbers are better, but he has to carry so much of the load. KP's been out. You know what I mean? It's tough. So his stats are going to look better, not as efficient. I'd probably take Dame over Luka.
I think as I'm looking at the names of the reserves, that's the only one that I would probably make a switch for as well.
Yeah. And I mean, Rudy Gobert's not starting. But
no.
Rudy Gobert is having an unbelievable year if you look at all of the things that no one looks at. Like Rudy Gobert, if I'm not mistaken, at this point is leading the NBA in plus minus. One of my favorite stats because it directly impacts and correlates to winning. And they're the best team in the NBA right now.
You know how I feel about the word correlation, right?
Facts. And Rudy Gobert got so much shit for the contract. $200 million. Everyone, even Shaq was giving him shit. Like, oh, I guess you can average 11 and 11 and make $200 million. Like, don't be sour that the guys are making more money than you did back in the day. Like, his impact on the court doesn't necessarily impact the stat sheet as much as some other guys. That's not to say he's not as important.
But think about how many things don't appear on the stat sheet. Altering shots at the rim. Like I remember, I'll never forget playing high school basketball. The coach Demas at Bryant, was like, yo, I want this kid to come out for the team. We had like this random like Polish kid, I think, or no, actually, I think it was like this. He was like maybe 6'9", 6'10", Impy. But the kid didn't want to play basketball. Like he wasn't a basketball player, or he had no drive or anything. And Coach Demas was like, yo, I just want him to alter shots at the rim. Like, if you're a 5'10" point guard, like I'm driving to the hoop and there's a 6'10" dude, like he's going to alter my shot.
For sure.
So he didn't block it, but that's going to be an impact that you don't see on the stat sheet. So, yeah, Gobert is going to get heat because I also don't like paying guys like that. Andre Drummond, him, DeAndre Jordan types where last 4 minutes there's ways that I could get you to be a non-factor on the court.
Gobert shoots a little bit better from the free throw line, so it's not a hack a Gobert situation. And you're right, like altering shots at the rim is not something that's a recorded stat, but now with all the advanced analytics, there's kind of, some of the pockets of information are kind of, being unearthed a bit, and some of this stuff is kind of being brought to the spotlight. And now a guy like Gobert can get paid. I've been really obsessed with like thinking about players' contracts and like, are they good enough to be like X best player on a championship team? So like the way I think about Rudy Gobert is like, I think Rudy Gobert is good enough to be the second best player or third best player on a championship team. Therefore, I think the contract is valid. Like those are the things like I'm really thinking about lately because roster construction is super important. And so I've really been geeking out on shit like that.
Well, I feel the same way. Like if my highest paid player on my team can't be an all NBA guy, like why am I paying him that?
Yeah. Or if he's just a one-dimensional player on one side of the court, it's like I hate to always bring up Melo, but like Melo was just like a scorer. He didn't really affect the game in any other way. There's so much you can say, but like when you give this guy a max deal, which you can argue that he is without a doubt, he's worth it. It's just tough when he does one thing. You know what I'm saying? He does it amazing, but he just does one thing. It's tough. And so anyway, Gobert, I think he's good enough to be, a third best player on a championship team, second best player on a championship team.
Reserves for the East: Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, Ben Simmons, Tatum, Vucevic. In the West, we got Zion, Chris Paul, Donovan Mitchell, Dame Dollar, Rudy Gobert, Paul George, Anthony Davis. Everybody's bugging out about Devin Booker.
I mean, it's valid. But
all right, who
are you going to take off?
That's always the thing. Who are you taking off? Oh, this guy should have been MVP. Well, who are you giving it to?
Anthony Davis will probably be replaced as an injured reserve.
Right.
If I had to guess, it will probably be Chris Paul. Devin Booker.
Right.
Someone who won't get picked, but if you compare his stats to Devin Booker, SGA on the Thunder is having an unreal season. You put his numbers up to Booker's, his numbers are actually better than Booker's. It's unreal, and the team is just in the basement. And so you can't really validate, Bradley Beal's a different story. Bradley Beal's averaging like 30-something points a game.
Yeah.
That's a different story. When there's fringe guys, you tend to give it to the guy on the better team. So I wanted to give SGA some love. And I will agree, I would agree that Devin Booker got snubbed, but he's going to make his way in anyway as an injured reserve. Shouts to Zach LaVine. I wasn't a big Zach LaVine guy, and his three-point shooting has dramatically improved. He's way more efficient. We all know what he could do in terms of being a slam dunk champion. His game has gotten so much more well-rounded. I just couldn't be more impressed with Zach LaVine and more happy for him as well because he's doing a lot of his work late game.
Yo, think about him, another dude that left Minnesota. And I feel as if you don't think Chicago has underachieved? Like, they got some players that I like, bro.
I mean, they've kind of been battling the injury bug. I love Billy Donovan.
Like, I like Wendell Carter.
Kobe White.
I mean, I like Markkanen. I know he's
hurt.
I know he's hurt, but like they just have some guys that I like, and I just feel like they've kind of
underachieved a bit.
Yeah.
To me, it's like I like Vucevic, but he's having a great statistical season. Don't get me wrong,
bro. Listen, who gets excited to see Vucevic play though?
Well, that's the thing. He's like an old school, old fashioned big man. The problem is Orlando is just like, to me,
bro. No one's hanging out with Vucevic at All-Star Weekend.
Nah.
Like, no one's campaigning. Like, you know how they say All-Star Weekend is the #1 tampering weekend of the year? Like, no one's tampering with Vucevic, bro. Yo, no disrespect, bro. I had you on my fantasy team last year. You're the only one that didn't get hurt. But with that being said, it's like, come on, man. Give me someone lit.
It's just like I think of the Magic, I think 7 seed.
Forever.
I think 8 seed. And he's like their best player, so they got to do a better job of surrounding him with more talent. But, yeah, I mean, you could make the argument. Bam Adebayo really came on late in the East.
Butler hasn't played enough, so that's why he's not on there.
Yeah. I mean, you could say Butler, but yeah, he hasn't played a lot. Bam's the guy that you can kind of pick and choose and say, like, look at his numbers, pretty impressive. And then Chris Middleton's another guy where super efficient, 90, 50, 40 guy. 90 from the free throw, 50 from the field, 40 from three. Super impressive. So a couple snubs, but Julius Randle deserved that shit. I don't care what anybody says. So
we got one, baby. We got one.
And then Sabonis, as I'm kind of looking back, Sabonis started the season, I think, with like a triple-double in like the first. I think he had like two triple-doubles in his first 5 games or something crazy like that. He's cooled off a bit. I think they got it right. I'm not. You could pick gripes for all of these guys.